Hi, my name is Tom, and this is What It Takes. Each episode, I sit down with real business owners to talk about their journey, the wins, the challenges, and everything in between. Let's dive in. What is up, everybody? We are back, and today I am talking with Matt Kovacs, president of Blaze PR, a Southern California public relations agency with a presence in Venice and Santa Barbara. Matt has spent more than 2 decades in the PR industry, building his expertise in strategic communication, brand storytelling, and client relationships. As president of Blaze PR, he's also had to navigate something that every growing business eventually faces: how to put the right process and strategies in place so the business can grow without everything depending on the people at top. So today we're going behind the PR side of the business and talking about what happens operationally, building process that actually works, knowing when those processes need to change, and creating a strategy that keeps the team and the business moving in the same direction. Matt, welcome to Business Owners Tell All What It Takes.
Thank you. Yeah, great to meet you.
Awesome, awesome. So before we get super in deep,
Yeah,
why don't you just tell us a little bit about your journey, what led you to start Blaze,
sure.
and kind of like what the pain point of everything was?
Yeah, I think, from my background, started in the on the brand side, so worked at Levi's and then Lids, the hat retailer,
Mhm.
as they, through that founding. So that was fun to be a part of. And then, had worked at a previous agency and was able to, again, really, get your chops, really understand, very entrepreneurial, very much the types of brands, we had worked on at the time. And I think that was where with Blaze was to look at it from a different lens and say, okay, if we're doing this, what's the best way to make sure that it's, not just in name, but really client focused and client facing in a way
Mhm.
that it is a partnership. And I think that's something that we looked at because that there is that pain point of, okay, the single person, the name on the wall, and then the buck stops there, and then they think that it's Matt PR, but it's a team, and it was really
Yeah.
breaking through that aspect to understand those elements. And again, we've won a number of the best places to work, which is always where it's working. We've had PRWeek and Pacific Coast Business Times and LA Business Journal, so you're able to really flip it where okay, this really is the team, and that we've been together a good for a chunk of us, a good group about 5 years, which is a long time in PR
Yeah.
in that regard to really, a client has that confidence that we work well together. There's no drama. We're able to, everyone knows our strengths and weaknesses, so we can help, the benefit for the client's business. And it's not just traditional PR. We do a lot with influencers. We do a lot of partnerships. We do a lot, with advertorials. And again, looking at it as the PR landscape has shifted, we've really been a part of that. And I think that's something that you look at where some of the, maybe older shops or different shops, they're doing things, maybe a little more, in the past or standard, but I think we're just trying to always be, we have to be that nimble. And I think that's what, the clients really appreciate.
I love that idea of just being able to stay nimble. Obviously, in a space that's changing, what, hourly, minutely,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Daily. Yeah.
Um, So, as we kind of talked about a little bit of this, and I want to circle back to the team aspect too, but so coming from a long marketing stand with the brands to
Yeah.
owning and running Blaze, and we talk about processes and being nimble, how do those processes change up for you and your team on a daily, or do they?
Yeah, they do. I think, we look at it, there's, again, that's the beauty of PR and why we all love it is every day is different. You never know
Yeah.
what's breaking news, what's going to be popping, are there trade shows or this, that. I think for us, we try and have those systems in place with, status calls, Monday and Thursday, even if they're just 15-minute touch bases, but just, okay, let's, have a reset. Then obviously you have client calls and touch bases and meetings, and then how we fill in those gaps to ensure with timelines, with all the the softwares that we have now that you can look at and say, okay, that we're making the plans and the campaigns work. Those are really important, and a lot of that is that interpersonal communication. It's not so much
Mhm.
just about order takers or hey, do this. It's what's working, how are people doing, how do those things really engage throughout. And I think that's something that we've taught. And even look, I learned when I went to school, that was part of it was from that interpersonal communication. It's really to understand and really think about what is that other person dealing with, going through. And that's what we try and mentor and teach the team is that you can have,
Yeah.
study PR your whole career. And then the second you're in the real world and you're on a call or a Zoom with a client, and it might be, they might have just gotten yelled at. They're the boss may have come down on them, or, it might be their dog, is in the hospital. You never know the personal side. So you really
Yeah.
have to be, not that you're going to be, all things to all people, but you really have to understand, okay, what is our job? What's our role? but we really are the counsel, and we do become almost that, really that just sort of handholder in a good way, not
Yeah.
in a bad way, but really like we're here, we're your partner. What can we do to make this work? Because so many of our brands, PR is their only external, communication and or
Hmm.
marketing arm. So there's a lot that we have to do above and beyond it, be it, hey, I got to drive, product from here to the TV station, or we have to, we're shipping out 1,000, kits. There's all those little things that, again, they're unheralded behind the scenes, but those are things that really work. And I think that's back to that point of how we can approach this and be really just really partner more than anything else.
Yes. So the interpersonal and the team communication, that's got to be monumental because at the end of the day, if whatever the vision your firm comes up with your partnership, like it has to be seen from the top to the bottom on both parties.
Yeah.
Um, how is it that you've been or do you create a repeatable process while still maintaining the flexibility to change?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think, when you look at it from, again, the PR playbook toolbook, there are those, I'll say, formulas that you play with that work and they're tried and true to what clients are looking for. Because
Hmm.
there are many times someone will reach out to you and say, "Hey, I need PR." Okay, cool. You win the business, and then they go, "Okay, what now?" So we're educating them in that regard. So there are the tried and trues that you need to do, be it press releases, press kits, media training,
Hmm.
all those aspects. But because the industry is changing so much and the importance of AI now, a year ago everyone was freaking out that PR and it was going to die because AI could just write releases, could just pitch, and then there'll be AI media that'll cover it. And then you come to find out that's not how it works.
Right.
Now the importance of press releases again and just having current modern news and how the AI and the LLMs crawl and learn, and they're learning from press releases and the way we have to change the format now. So we're learning as much as I'd say, clients can be, but it's
Yeah.
also, I think, where the positive side is there's so much more data. There's so many more ways to learn. There's so many more ways to look at it. And I think those are things that we see that have had success and that, clients have been able to appear in searches, have been able to do things that are relevant in that regard. And that's the big play is, you really have to be even more relevant now. It is, making sure that strategy of on a daily, weekly basis, what are we doing to make sure that we're getting the client out there and that it's not, we can't wait for the next thing. It can't be
Yeah.
the kiss of death of any agency is, well, you didn't do anything new. That's not how it works anymore. We have to be the ones creating the newness and the freshness and being able to offer that up for brands.
Yeah, especially in your space, that's it, right? Like you got to be the first one. You got to be that. You got to
Yeah.
be the new look.
Yeah.
And it's like PR is just so fast moving. It's very unpredictable. Um, how do you keep your team aligned with the vision with so many moving pieces?
Yeah, I think what's good is, and it starts from the types of brands we work with. I think that's always a big, we always say you can't pick your clients, you can't pick your relatives, you got to pick, but when the clients and the brands we work on, I think have been really refreshing because they're again great people. They
Yep.
have really strong, again, newsworthy brands and things. And then they also, because so many of them are challenger brands, they're looking to us to come up with, again, they have to be that much more aggressive. Their budgets have to work that much harder. So we can
Hmm.
throw different things at them to try, and that makes it, I think, exciting for everyone because you're not doing
Yeah.
the same thing every day. Have we tried this?
Yes.
Have we thought of this? Could we do this? Like those are the types of statements we really look at, and I think clients appreciate that. And look, not every, 10 times out of 100, it might work, but you're at least, you're trying again and again to be able to give them ideas and offerings because that's what's going to break through. And many times, we talk about the journey of these types of ideas, while the client might like it, it might go into, committee internally, it may go through and it may not pass, but we're part of that journey. And then, one of these is going to
Yes.
catch and hit, and it gets people to ideate and think about, okay, what can PR do for me and how does that make an impact? And those are things that I think make it fresh for everyone. It's not the same thing every day. You're not sitting there just staring at your laptop. You're,
Hmm.
very active. And I think what else is fortunate, we have a lot of clients that do things. We have events, we have launches, we have auctions, we have, unveilings. There's different elements that you're using different, parts of your brain for these types of, events and being on site. That's one of the things too, that we talk about is so many of the COVID type years, so much of PR, you were stuck, work from home or at a desk. But now we're out and about again. We're out at,
Hmm.
events. We're at checking in media. You're dealing with media over the course of a 3-hour event. That's a lot of time to spend with someone, but it's also we've trained clients. hey, you always have to have your guard up. You can't just be talking willy-nilly at an event or a party. Media's there. They're going to cover you. You've invited them into your home. They're looking for those news stories as well as true journalists. So it is that discipline that we really try and, activate throughout.
I love that. Just 100% being on guard. It's so crazy what gets picked up when you're not, right?
Yeah, and they're waiting for it, and that's their job. I mean, that's why they're journalists. And not that you're
Yeah.
doing anything illegal or nefarious, but it's really in that way of just making sure that you're present, you're in the moment, and you understand within this confines of this event that you need to make sure that you have the attention of the media, but also that you're respecting it as well, because they can easily leave, they can turn, they can have a negative perception. So you want to make sure that it all works together.
So, throughout this whole process of you being, the active PR and leading, let me rephrase that, and partnering with your brands,
Mhm.
um, how do you make sure that your process and systems that you put in place are supporting the business strategy and not just creating more work for your team?
Sure. I think, it probably starts to that point when we first start with a brand and we ask them the question of, okay, you have PR, what do you want to do? Are you looking for investment? Are you looking to eventually sell the business, or are you looking for brand building? Are you looking to grow this?
Uh,
And I think that helps us to understand what the expectations are and really where we need to take it. And I
mm,
think from there, then we're able to look at the types of things that we can be doing. And that's where you really get into that sort of calendarizing, the whole account. What are their
yeah.
key moments? Are there trade shows? Are there launches? Are there, the seasonalities? Is it, holiday gift guides? Is it, the spring, New Year, New You? What are those things that really work for them? And then that helps us to build out the types of campaigns we want to do and the things that make sense for them. And I think that's
Yes.
where we can report and have that connectivity where it is not just doing PR for PR's sake. It's the fact that it does have the ability to affect business and that it can really draw if they're a direct consumer client, how are we driving more traffic for them to, drive sales? Are they at retail? Are they launching in certain retailers? Do we need to geo-target?
Mm,
Like, what are the ways we need to
yeah.
really work? Because PR can do that. We have the abilities to, slice and dice the output so that that coverage has, meaning to it.
Right. I love that. And it's sometimes it's that first conversation that's so important just to build the clarity of where that brand wants to go and how you can partner with them.
Totally. Yeah.
So obviously as the leader of your company, how involved are you in the developing and improvising and improving the processes and what moves forward as opposed to any changes you allow your team to build?
I think it's great. I think it's a combo of both. I think, there's a vision and a direction and things that have worked, through
Yeah.
the years that we've seen. But as new people come on board, and especially as you bring in new crops of people that have been, as they've gone through different experiences, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, it's important to understand what they've learned from be it other agencies or other, through their college careers or other, disciplines as well, and the ways that we can incorporate this. And it can be as simple as, the lunch and learn becomes tired after a while. Are there things we could
Sure.
try different? Are there,
Yeah.
ways that you can make this more meaningful? It can't be, forced fun. Like, are there things that they want to do? We don't have to do happy hour. That's, that
Yep.
might be a little dated in my world. But, are there things that make sense? Do we go, to a farmer's market? Whatever those things are, there's
Yeah.
always the ideas for it because back to that point, it's not just, it's not my world. It's all our worlds. And what do we want to do that's going to make it interesting for everyone? And what's going to make people want to stay? That's the other thing too, is that
Mm,
if it is just, my way or the highway or, whatever, a team approach, if you have a tribunal, that's not going to work. It has to really
right.
feel a part of it. And I think that lends itself back to why we always win, those best places to work, when it makes sense, because we do have the people that again, where it's the old, Mike Tomlin quote, we want participants, not hostages. You're here because you want to be here. We want you to be a part of it, and we also want to have you feel that it's your company as well, that your decisions matter. And I think that's really gone a long way for us.
Yes, and that's it's funny you said that because I was actually going to lead into that with being one of the best places to work. You've obviously built a team that has built an ownership in the company, which I absolutely love. I feel that and I hate saying like employees, but employees are 10 times more productive when they have an ownership in the company, when they
Sure.
feel like what they do matters and that they can help move the needle. And you've created a business in that. And obviously, with the best place to work, it shows. Um, Tell me a little bit about what have you learned about creating that business that you have with Blaze that can operate consistently without every decision or problem coming through you?
Yeah, I think what's been great is, and some of it is, I think the back to that point of we've had the same group for about 5 years.
Yes.
And I think as they've learned as well, we've all sort of learned together. But I think that's the confidence that we've all instilled that you can make these decisions. You don't need to wait. We don't need to have, it doesn't need to, I don't need to sign off on everything. I trust everyone, that group inherently because they have that sort of sixth sense now. They understand what we're trying to do, what's working, and they all know their clients well enough too that, what you wouldn't do or say something that a client wouldn't be proud of or wouldn't want to do, and it's not about forcing them to do stuff, but what makes sense for their individual businesses. And I think that's something that we've discussed and I've taught through the years is think of it more of this is your business. How would you want to treat it? Think of it from that versus just coverage. Because coverage is transactional. You can get a coverage today,
Yes.
tomorrow, Thursday, but the business goes on. And what are the things we can do to help affect business in that regard? And that's something that they can then report on. Hey, because PR is not a transactional business that way. It's not that you got coverage and then look at all the sales you got. It's much more about brand building. It's validation. It takes a longer turn versus you run an ad. You paid $1,000. You sold $2,000 worth of product. Okay, that ad worked. So that's how we try and look at it. Of what can we do to help build voice and share a voice, especially in the age of AI now. We need to have it become more important that way that it's translatable, it's understandable, and that people really have a connectivity to it. So those are things that I think have made sense, and that people feel like
Mm,
they're part of that. And I think those are things that through that discussions we have that they understand the importance of understanding why things happen versus just doing it because, okay, I have my checkbook. Okay, I sent the press release, I pitched it, I got the article, I sent the clip. But what are all these other parts of it that can make sense?
right. Oh my gosh, I love that quote. And I'm gonna steal that. Coverage is transactional. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And that is just that mindset right there is clearly how you've built a best places to work environment. I mean, um, that ownership of no, it's not transactional. This is like what's the main goal? I get it. You can cover me for the day, but that doesn't cover the problem. That doesn't fix everything else. And oh my gosh, I think I that is a quote I'm going to steal, Matt. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you.
Good.
So before we finish up, we ask this question to every single owner that we have on here. After everything you've learned about building and leading Blaze, what does it really take to be a business owner?
I think what's interesting is, and it's unheralded, and again, a lot of my friends and other business owners talk about it. Is I think it's all the little things. I think it's really just remembering and understanding things, knowing people's name, treating people the way you want to be treated. I think those are things that obviously everyone's goal is to grow and expand and be successful, but it's all those little things that add up. That I think again, my father was a third grade teacher. So I look at it that way of, all those, the golden rule and all those things that he instilled, obviously for me, but also all his kids every year, that you're able to see that those things really add up in life. And
Mm,
I think that's what's been a part of it is to really be succinct and be, direct that way. Because if you're not that way and if you dance around, if you look for angles and edges and you're always trying to find, the quick fix, it's not going to work. And I think it is the work that goes into it. And I think thinking that way has really been, I think, helpful and successful. And I think it's something that still works to this day is remembering, reporters' birthdays, remembering, dog, pets' names of your employees. All those things I think go a long way that people discount, but I've seen it work and grow. And I think that's something that we, really hold true.
I love that. And just that relationship building, I can't imagine anything more foundationally for a PR business. Because if I was hiring somebody for PR, I want the relationship more than I would want anything else.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, again, you're in the foxhole together. You have to put this through, and you're spending a lot of time with people. It's a lot of understanding their, idiosyncrasies and all those things that happen. But again, you want them in your corner, thinking about you all the time.
Yes, I love that. So, Matt, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you sharing what you've learned, both on the building and the strategy process behind Blaze PR. It was super eye-opening to me. I love it. It's easy to focus on what customers see from the outside, right? But there's a lot happening behind the scenes that you've done fantastically well. I loved talking with you. For those of you who are listening, if you are in the need of any PR help, please reach out to Matt at Blaze PR. I'm sure that he will remember your dog's name and have a great time with you. Matt, thanks again for sharing. And to everyone listening, thank you again for watching another episode of Business Owners Tell All What It Takes.
Cool. Thank you.
Would you or someone you know like to be featured on this podcast? Our applications are now open. Apply today at seekersolution.com and click on the podcast link to get started.